Computer. Hi there, I am Jennifer Regular. I am the host here at the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast, also on the YouTube channel. I'm also a soul-centered empowerment coach at Lighting the Path. And today on the podcast, I have Robert Butwin here from Northern California. Hello, Robert. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, and I'm glad to be here and being with you.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to have all of you here listening today. Let me tell you a little bit about Robert Butwin. He grew up in a family of successful people and self-made millionaires. Early in his business, he decided to leave behind that country club smart ways to pursue a more personally satisfying and secure profession of network marketing. He is a wizard networker and a strategist for entrepreneurs to help them transform their vision into reality. His superpower is connecting people and helping entrepreneurs find their blind spot. He was also elected into the MLMIA Hall of Fame. Robert and his wife Bonnie live in the beautiful wine country of Northern California. Robert really walks his talk too. He's living an incredible lifestyle that includes a lot of relaxation and spending time with his 3 grandsons. Today, he's going to be sharing with us the 5 A's for making the law of attraction work. Robert, I'm so excited to hear about all of this. How did you end up breaking away from your family of successful people and millionaires?
Well, to give you a quick background, our family started the high school award cheerleading jacket business in the 1930s. And my dad was running it, but his grandmother still controlled who did what as far as making how much money. And I started off, in purchasing, went into a little bit of designing, selling, everything, because I expected to run the family business. But I had one of those defining moments realizing that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't patient enough to sit back, because she wanted to pay all the grandkids the same. I knew who was doing the work and who was doing what. And I knew that there was something better out there for me. I didn't necessarily know what it was, but I got involved in the personal growth and development early on. And I came across a cassette tape series by Wayne Dyer. And it was called No Limit Person. And as I listened to it, I came to the realization that the limits that existed in my life, I was the one responsible. And here's why that's so important. Once you take responsibility for whatever is, it doesn't matter what that is. It could be the fact that you haven't found the right mate. It could be the fact that you're not producing at the level you want to produce. It could be the fact that you weigh too much. Whatever that is, but you take responsibility for what is. See, once you take responsibility for what is, then you can take it for what will be. But here's the challenge. Most people are in a state of denial. And the acronym for denial is don't even notice. I am lying. And you're lying to yourself by not taking responsibility for what is. So that was the start of everything. Now I can go on, but that was where it began.
That's where it began. And what do you think drew you to find something different, find you more? What do you think you were looking for at that point?
Well, it just so happens at that point, I had just met a lady I started dating. And I wish I could tell everybody I was an overnight success. And this is part of how I came into the 5 A's in the law of attraction. So, to tell you the balance of the story, the lady I just started dating, I ended up marrying, and we've been happily married for 36 years. But
congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. But when I started, I dove head in first. I just dove in. And within a short period of time, I created a lot of debt because I was looking to make a lot of money. How it started as a fraternity, a little sister from a fraternity that I belonged to in the past, came to me telling me about how this fraternity brother of mine, a couple years older, I didn't really know him, but he was making like 3 times the amount of money in 1 month than I was making in a year. And I'd already gotten into the personal growth and development. And so I'm saying, if he can do it, so can I do. I can do it. I know if other people can do it, I can, I had enough self-confidence, self-belief. I started, listening to, for example, the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And he goes into the fact that 4 to 5 businesses aren't, don't make it the first 5 years. And I'm listening to him and I say, that's not me. Failure is not an option. So I started listening to my self-talk. and I continually poured information into my mind because, again, I knew what my intention was when I started into business. I remember early on, I was really worried because I knew that if and when I left the family business, that I could not come back because I was the one that sort of like there's certain things going on within the business that I knew were wrong. And I would bring that to other people's attention, the wrong people. So I knew when I left. So I came across the book by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. That was another thing, because again, my journey and my path was searching out for the information. See, I went through and got a college degree, but I didn't get an education. I got the degree, but I sort of took the path of least resistance. And so now I had to go and make up for that lost time. Because, one of the A's of it, one of the A's and the 5 A's of the law of attraction is the actions. That's, I'm sure you probably either read the book, saw this DVD about The Secret.
Right.
And what that really did is it brought to the consciousness that there is what they call the law of attraction. But what it didn't do is it didn't give people an action plan of how to do it.
Right.
That basically said, well, if you just think about it. Well, yeah, thinking about it is part of it. You got to be aware of whatever it is that you want. I started off telling you the story about how I met my wife. Let me go into that story a little bit deeper because I think it's really amazing.
I'd love to hear.
Within the first 45 minutes of our first date, she came to the realization she never wanted to see me again.
Oh, what did you do, Robert?
What did I do to change that? See, I was always aware. I showed up on that date in some crazy looking colors, shorts and like a semi-pink shirt, a dented citation. And I'm talking about how rich I'm going to be. And she's thinking in her mind, that doesn't impress me. That's not the kind of lady she was. So, it wasn't where I was going to be. She saw the incongruence and everything else like that. But the changing moment, that defining moment, she had just taken a body language class. And that was about, the universal language that shows that somebody likes you. And that is flashing them. Now, for those of you that might not know what flashing is, it means raising your eyebrows. I raised my eyebrows, and all of a sudden that a light went off in her head. I think he likes me. Thank goodness the date lasted more than 45 minutes. But again, part of the A's in the law of attraction is aware of what you wanted. I always wanted to meet the right person that could be my life partner, that I could develop something in life with. And I dated a lot of people before I ultimately met her. I ended up running a nightclub before I met her. So, I was in the thick of things in the early 80s. I've seen so much, and that's where I came up with the 5 A's in the law of attraction. Again, aware of what it is that you want. I wanted to find the right life partner. We've had a phenomenal relationship. In fact, there was one time, telling you another story, we're sitting around with another couple, and I turned to the other couple and says, Bonnie and I never fight. She looks at me and she says, where have you been? Okay. In the meantime, we've had a great relationship, but I was aware of that. When I wanted to get away from our family business, I was aware that I wasn't patient enough and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now, my first involvement in network marketing was not successful. I dove headfirst into it. I'm sort of compulsive, and I created $102,000 in debts because I had pockets when I started. I knew how to get money. Well, shortly, 2 months before I got involved in network marketing, I met my wife, and she started, after 2 years of dating each other, wanting to know, is this guy financially solvent or not? So she went through my books, and she was the one that says I had 102,042 debts. We never declared bankruptcy. We figured out how to make the money to pay them all off. But again, I was focused. I was aware of what I wanted. Now, when I started, the second A is accept the changes you need to make sure that you get what you want. Back then, I was spending a lot of money on, renting office buildings. So this is a home-based business. I was spending money advertising. You don't need to advertise to find the right people. So I had to become a professional networker. I had to learn how to develop the art of networking. In fact, just about a month ago, my mom introduced me to a 70-year friend of their family. And I had a 20-minute conversation with him, and he sent me his book. And for those of you that want to perfect your networking skills, highly recommend it. It's Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. So,
Ah,
the second A is accepting the things that you need to change. For example, as I was making a lot of money, and technology had just come in the marketplace, because when I started, there was no Google, there was no Apple, there was none of the, a lot of the things that are here today weren't there. So
right.
I kept saying to myself, technology is changing so fast. How can I keep up with it?
Yeah.
So I never, I stayed in my state of genius, going back to the book, The Big Leap, stayed in your state of genius. So
Mm,
I stayed focused on my state of genius, developing relationships, creating long-term relationships. Most of my relationships are long-term. Now, not long ago, a 25-year friend of mine sort of like stabbed me in the back. But again, how you look at everything, yeah, it's an experience, because as we're making choices, as we're doing certain things, we're gonna have different experiences. The key is how you look at your experiences. And I love
absolutely.
yeah, the definition of experiences. Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. So it's like, did that validate my lack? No, that's the wrong thinking. That is a stepping stone to making sure, so when I started off, I had all the steps. So, I mean, I just took a look at, how is this serving me? Some of the people I'm going to mentor are going to be financially challenged. Before that point, I was never financially challenged. I look at how to reframe it. It's like if I was going to open a franchise back then, back in the early 80s, it cost maybe 100,000. Well, okay, this is my franchise price. Whatever the case is, it's how you interpret the things that are happening to you, because a lot of success is mindset. So the second A is accept the changes. The third A is your affirmations. You could take a look at visualizations, meditations, different people look at it. I mean, I see the future the way I want it to turn out. I know I can create my own movie. So I focus on what that is going to be. Every morning I wake up and I meditate. I think about things in relationship to things I'm doing in the business. That's my form of meditation. My wife and I go for a 45-minute walk every single day religiously. That's another way of connecting and also thinking. Walking is really, really good for you. So again, the third A is affirmations. The fourth A is proper action. You've got to get out in action. Like, for example, when the pandemic hit, a lot of people allowed it to be paralyzed. They weren't prepared. They didn't sit back and, figure out, what can I do now? It disrupted my form of income, whatever that was. We learned some valuable lessons from the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The three that I learned, the majority of the people that died had underlying health conditions. Well, they made wrong choices. They probably ate too much of the wrong food. B, the second thing I learned is what we thought was secure income isn't as secure as we want. The fact that many people, I think 11% of the population quit their jobs right away, and 40% of the other people are looking to change their job. To me, that was an opportunity. And the third thing that I learned is ultimately how awkward it is to go out in public wearing a mask and social distancing. Well, again, we learn many things, but it's how you take a look at what we learn. So to me, that showed the opportunity, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. Now, remember, I allowed technology to pass me by. So I had to attract the right people that kept up with technology. So I've attracted those people to my team. I love the acronym of team, which is together, everybody achieves miracles.
Yes.
It's the team of people you're working with. So the action, it's like when I show up, because as a networker, I show up not to try to pitch, but to attract people by bringing value, having resources. It's like when I get into networking groups, it's like, how can I be of service to you? What can I do that, I want to know who you are, so I know how I can properly be there. So that's proper action. If you continually do the wrong thing over and over and over again and don't change the things you're doing, you're going to, the old saying is, you're going to continually get what you've always gotten. Going back to accept the changes and get into the proper actions. You've got to bring value to other people. The more that you bring value to other people, it comes back to you. So I've been going through a lot, and I've got through four of the A's, and ultimately, the action depends upon what you're doing. Whatever you see yourself doing, you can do. I mean, the only limits that I came to the realization that exist are the 6 inches between your ears. It's all it's the mindset. It's the knowing this, that we can attract the skills, that we can create whatever it is that we want to create. There's an old saying, I'm sure you heard it, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes, yes.
You got to get out there and meet people. There's another old saying that your net worth is in direct relationship to the value of your network. So the point is, how are you bringing more value to your network? Are you finding resources? That's one of my secret sauces. When I'm talking to people, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, because most of my marketplace is entrepreneurs. So it's like, how are you getting your message across? Do you have an affiliate program so that you can have other people finding customers for you so that you can stay in your income producing activities? It's like, what are you doing in relationship to making sure that you accomplish whatever your objectives are? And it's more difficult today because you got to break through the noise, and you've got so many different choices to make. And I'm not an analytical person, so I needed to find people that could do that for me.
Right.
So that's part of where the law of attraction is, getting clear on what you really want in relationship, that what's going to support you so that you're going to create the success that you deserve. And everybody that is in business deserves to be successful. I have gotten on stage many, many times and said that, and I totally believe this, it's easier to become wealthy today than any other time, especially when I started. Look at all the technology. Look at the ways that we can reach. A lot of it's our mindset, but it's also doing the right action. So do you have any questions before I go into the last of the 5 A's?
Well, I can see how they all really fit together, Robert. And I think beliefs are a big part of that as well. And you can't take right action until you are aware, right, of what you're trying to attract, and that you're affirming that you really believe that, and that you have acceptance that you are 100% responsible for your life. And every action that you take leads to some kind of response. And then we continue to learn from that and go through. So I'm interested now, what is the 5th one? Where do we go from here?
Attitude of gratitude.
Yes, attitude of gratitude. Because that just raises the vibration to attract all of the above, isn't it?
Yes, you got to be grateful for where you are as you're going to where you deserve to be. And everything is mindset. You deserve to create the successes that you create. And there's an old saying that your altitude is in direct relationship to your attitude. If you
I like that. Yeah. Altitude is in direct relation to your attitude.
That's right. It doesn't matter who you're speaking with. I mean, there was one of these clips that I watched about how this lady that was married to the CEO of a company, and she bumps into like a janitor, and the interaction between them, like, you almost married this janitor, and anyhow, the bottom line is everything is your attitude. You never know who you're speaking with. If it's like how you show up with somebody that's waiting on you, or no matter what it is, it's the right way to be. It's even when people ask you, how are you doing? And I will quite often ask people that, and they say, okay. What does that mean? They're programming themselves that they're okay. It doesn't matter. I always say phenomenal and getting better, or fantastic and getting better. Again, it's the vibration, it's your attitude, it's how you look at things. Even when things go wrong, it's like, what was I supposed to learn from this? Because again, that's your attitude. How is this supposed to serve me to making sure that I get to where I want to go? Because it goes back to what you were saying, Jennifer. It's your belief. The belief that that you can do whatever it is that you're in the process of doing. There's always resources that you can plug into. You can find the right insight, information, whatever. Obviously, you got to apply the action. But for everybody that's listening to this, you all deserve to create the success that you're looking for based on being of value and service to other people.
Absolutely. And Robert, when you mentioned about how you show up too and how you interact and connect with other people, you can almost add a sixth A, I think, to the law of attraction, which would be authenticity,
Yes.
right?
I,
Showing up fully who you are and embodying your truth and really being able to express that across everything with your family, your friends, your business, and to your, most importantly to yourself too. How are you showing up? What is that attitude that you're bringing? And what are you accepting in your reality, and how are you affirming that?
well, now we're going to have to change it to the 6 a.m. I'm going to have to give you credit for the 6. You're so, you're so correct. You're so right on, because people, their barometers today are more in tune. And if you're not being authentic, it's coming through. Just the littlest thing in relationship to what you do, those little things matter. Do you have eye contact? Do you ask questions? Are you listening, um, to the people that you're speaking with? That's all part of being authentic.
Yes. Yes, deep listening.
Yeah, and asking the right questions.
I know Richard Wagamese said, I want to listen deeply enough so that I hear everything and nothing at the same time.
Very good.
To be able to really reach that place where, yeah, you're connecting heart to heart also. I know for myself, there was just so many different roles I had in my lifetime, and I really wanted to shift from that role to role way of relating into soul to soul and connecting heart to heart, connecting to our essential truth and who we are. And I find that some of the deepest connections that we can try to cultivate in our lives. And I just want to bring up when you mentioned about breaking away from the family and not going back and just seeing things differently. And because a lot of people have a hard time making decisions going in the direction that they want to be going because they're afraid of losing relationships or how family reacts and how people think. So what was that like for you? What was your experience when you kind of removed yourself from the way the family did things to doing your own thing, and how did that change the relationships?
Well, there's two parts of it. Your family, my dad, when I walked into his office and told him I could no longer afford to work there anymore, he wished me well. He says, I love you. That didn't have really any impact in that relationship.
Right.
Now, the way I got him, to break away was in network marketing, where in that business model, and it's changed over the last 35, 36 years that I've been involved with it, but it's really vested on helping other people succeed. You're able to mentor people. And today, based on the fact that with all the technology, it's, you're just connecting people. That's really, you're connecting people with a concept. It's how you influence people, that, because unfortunately, most people settle. And it's helping people realize that through a leveraged business model and helping communicate. Really, it goes back to what we learned in the Grand Connection. It's the 3 C's, which is communicate. You got to communicate authentically. You got to connect on a soul to soul kind of a level. You've got to be, very authentic there too, because again, you're looking for long-term, not short-term kind of relationships. And the third thing is you want to focus on collaboration. What can you do to be of value to the other person? So if you do those 3 C's properly, everything else is going to fit into place. So, I mean, the friends that I had at the point in time, those that wanted to, go beyond wherever they were, I got involved with them. The other ones, over a period of time, we grew apart.
Yeah, it just naturally happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's part of the law of attraction, right? You attract the people that are vibrating at the same level as you too, and that's kind of going in the same kind of direction.
Yeah. I'm looking to attract people that want something more.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. More doesn't necessarily mean money, but they're just looking for something more. And knowing that because of how I'm out there and the things that I've, you know, the connections I made, the people I'm around, I've attracted the right elements there, and I'm continually open enough when I'm listening to people, because my whole mindset is, what can I do to help other people accelerate their success? That's everything that I think about, and I'm always searching for those things. And
It's a
looking
very
to
noble cause, Robert. So appreciate the kind of work that you do and truly the person that you are too, and how that just radiates from you. So how would people get in touch with you, Robert?
very simple. Just go to my last name, Butwin @gmail.com. What you really want to remember is, with Robert, you do nothing but win.
Nice. I love the little play on your last name there.
When I was growing up, I got teased, but it goes back to what I think Zig Ziglar used to say: make lemons out of lemonade, or make lemonade out of lemons.
Work with what you got, right? What else is possible? You see these lemons and it can be anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all possible. I mean, it amazes me to see some of the new things that are continually coming into the marketplace. I mean, technology, and if you ever watch, for example, Shark Tank,
Yes.
some of these things that some of these entrepreneurs are coming up with, it's all possible. Just allow yourself to think differently and take a look around you. What can be improved? What can you do to be of more value to other people? Where are other people's points of pain? We're all getting bombarded today with marketing messages. All the social medias channels are selling our information. I can't tell you how many scam likely calls I get in a day. So figure out what you can do to solve other people's points of pain, and you'll be very successful.
Alleviate the suffering, which creates liberation from all of it. Wow. So much wisdom that you shared here with us, Robert. I'm so grateful.
I'm grateful. It's every time I'm in your presence, it's just a blessed moment. I very much appreciate you, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you for listening, for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Wisdom Speakers